Hello everyone. So today in this video we'll be discussing about a new topic which is about solving absolute value equations. Now to start with, surely you will have an idea about absolute values, but it's better we quickly revise about absolute values, right? So let's start by revising about absolute values. Now what is an absolute value? Usually when we talk about absolute value questions, you will find something like this, the symbols here. There will be a number inside the symbol. Now there can be a negative number as well as a positive number. What do these absolute values do? They show the distance of the number which is inside these two lines from 0 on a number line. So for example, if there was 5 inside the absolute value, so the absolute value of 5 is the distance of 5 from 0. So here is the number line for you. So from 0 to 5, what is the distance? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 units. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. Similarly, if you have a negative number as well, so even if you have a negative number, the distance of 0 from it's the distance of negative 5 from 0. So from 0 till negative 5, what's the how many units? We have 5 units. So this is what literally absolute value shows you. Absolute value shows you the number, the distance of a number from 0. Now these are more useful for engineers when they construct something. They do use absolute values. So later on you will learn in detail all these things, but then for now all what you need to remember is absolute value means the distance of the number from 0. So you will always find the numbers which are in the numbers inside these two lines. These are the symbols. All right, let's move on and check. Now find the absolute value of this number. What do you think the absolute value of negative 3 is going to be? Means the distance of negative 3 from 0. So from 0, here is 0. From here till here, what is the distance? It's 3 units. So the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. As simple as that. Okay, let's move on and check today's lesson. Now this is the first part of the lesson. Now here in the previous slide, we saw that there is a number inside. So it can be a positive number or it can be a negative number inside. But here you have to find what number is it going to be here. So what do you think is the number going to be? What can X represent? X stands for any number. So what do you think the number is? So this number can be negative 3 or it can be a positive 3. That's what we learned, right? So it can be a negative 3 or a positive 3 because from 0, 3 units, it can go to the left or it can go to the right. So if it goes to the right, that's a positive 3. If it goes to the left, that's a negative 3. So the solutions for this, that is X can be negative 3 and it can be a 3 also. So in place of X, we can write 3 or negative 3. Now moving to another question here. What do you think is the number in place of X? As you know, it's inside the absolute value. So it can be a negative 1 as well as a positive 1. So from 0, it can go to the right, which will give you a positive 4, or it can go to the left, which will give you a negative 4. So the solutions will be negative 4 or 4. X can be negative 4 and X can be 4 also. It can be a positive 4. Now this part of the lesson is clear, right? So if I ask you something like this, means there will be a number inside. It can be a negative number or a positive one. Let's move a bit to a different kind of absolute value equation. So here we have inside the absolute values, we have X minus 3 equals 4. Now what are you going to do? We of course have to find the value of X, but before we find the value of X, we need to do something. What do? We need to remove this number which is up outside the absolute value sign. Now these are the absolute value signs. We need to remove the number which is not part of it. Means in the sense we have to remove this so that we can know the value of this. So whichever number is outside the absolute value lines, you need to solve it. Now here it's negative 3. So solve in the sense you will do the opposite. You will do the inverse operation. So we need to move the numbers together. So that will become X absolute value of X equals 4 plus 3, because minus 3 will become plus 3. So the absolute value of X is going to be X equals 7. So what do you think is the number which is going to be here? It can be a 7 or a negative 7. So x is equal to 7 and x is equal to negative 7. In fact, it should be and here. Okay, so hopefully this is easy. It's only you have to get rid of the number there. Okay, let's check one more question. Now this question says 4 multiplied absolute value of x plus 2 equals 24. So 4 multiplied, as you know, it acts like a parenthesis also. So if any number is with the parenthesis means it's multiply. So opposite, we have to of course get rid of this number here. So to get rid of the number, all what you need to do is move it to the other side, so that becomes divide by 4. 24 divided by 4, that will give you x plus 2, the absolute value of x plus 2 equals 6. Now here we have an equation. Still we have to find what can be the value of x. We cannot find because there is a 2 with the x inside. So in such cases, what you do is we have to give two possibilities for this equation. How do you give two possibilities? You have to say one part is x plus 2 equals 6. Now keep in mind, you don't use the absolute value signs when we write equations, when we are giving the two possibilities. So x plus 2 equals 6, the same equation which is in the question. Then another one we say is x plus 2 equals negative 6. So one we make it equal to a positive number, the other one we make it equal to a negative number. Okay, so first you need to get rid of the number which is outside the absolute value lines, and then you have to solve and give two solutions for this equation. Means because you have to find two values of x, right? So then you will finally, like as usual how you solve equations, you will solve, bring the variables together, bring the numbers together, so that will give you x is equal to 4. Now the similar way, the other side, you will have x is equal to minus 6 minus 2, because the plus 2 will move to the other side, that will become minus 2, so x is equal to negative 8. So the value of x can be 4 and it can be x is equal to negative 8 also. So this is how you solve an real absolute value equation. First, of course, we have to give two solutions, but to give that, we have to get rid of the number outside the absolute values. Let's look at one more example. Now here, do we have any number outside the absolute value lines? There is nothing. So all what we need to do is just give the two possibilities. So what is going to be the first possibility? It's 2x plus 3 equals 5 is going to be the first possibility. The second is going to be 2x plus 3 equals negative 5. Only the number here, you're going to make 1 plus and 1 minus. And solve usually how you would solve an equation. So move the variables to one side and the numbers to the other. So plus 3 will move to the other side. That will become a minus 3. 2x equals 2. Now are we done? No, because we need to find the value of x. So x is equal to 2 divided by 2, which is equal to 1. Now coming to the other equation, other possibility, this is going to be 2x equals minus 5 minus 3, because plus 3 when it moves to the other side it will become minus 3. So 2x equals negative 8. Negative 5 negative 3 will give you a negative 8. You have still not finished it because you need to solve for x. X is going to be equal to negative 8 divided by 2. So x is equal to negative 4. You will learn better when you start practicing. Okay, here it's the same one. 8 equals x minus 2.5. Now as there are no numbers outside the absolute value lines, all you need to do is give the two possibilities. So the first possibility is 8 equals x minus 2.5, and the other one is minus 8 equals x minus 2.5. Now if you think this is confusing you, you can write it x minus 2.5 equals 8. You can write it like that and also solve. No matter however the numbers are, the answer you are going to get is going to be the same. Okay, now this is going to be 8 plus 2.5 equals x, so 10.5 equals x. Right, the next side you have minus 8 plus 2.5, because the minus 2.5 will come to this side. So that will give you x is equal to 5.5. Okay, so hopefully that explanation part is easy for you. So let's start practicing some questions so that you will understand this lesson better. Okay. Okay, so let's see how we can solve this part here. The question says absolute value of x equals 6. So which number do you think can be inside this? It can be a negative 6, or a positive 6, because as I already explained you, they can be a negative number or a positive number, but the value of means the distance from 0 to the numbers will be 6. Now let's look at this one. Here there are no numbers to get rid of outside the absolute value lines. So all what you have to do is give the two possibilities. So let's write the two possibilities. When there is nothing to solve, just give the two possibilities. So one can be 9 equals x plus 5, and the other one can be negative 9 equals x plus 5. As I said, one is going to be positive, one is going to be negative. So simply solve as how you would normally solve an equation. So this is going to give 9 minus 5 is 4 equals x. This is going to be negative 9 negative 5 equals x, which is going to be negative 14 equals x. The next question here, now we have to get rid of this number. As you can see that there is a number outside the absolute value lines. So all what we need to do is move this to the other side to first solve that. So what is the next step going to be? The absolute value of 3x is going to be x minus 8 minus 2. So the absolute value of 3x is going to be 6. Now let's give the two possibilities now. How are you going to give the possibilities? One is going to be positive and one is going to be, okay, that line is not straight. Okay, so one is going to be positive and one is going to be negative. So we have 3x equals 6, or we can say 3x equals negative 6. So how do you solve for x? X is equal to 6 divided by 3. So one part is going to be x is equal to 2, and the other one we have x is equal to negative 6 divided by 3. So x is going to be equal to negative 2. So x can be 2 or x can be negative 2. Let's try some more questions. Now here again we have a number outside. So to solve this we need to move it to the other side. Now this means multiply, because you see there are no signs in between. So opposite of multiply will be divide. So that's going to be 18 divided by 2. So the absolute value of x is going to be 9. So what do you think is going to be inside here? What can be in place of x? So in place of x it can be a positive 9, or in place of x it can be a negative 9. Okay, let's solve this part now. Now again here it's a fractional question, so here again there are nothing to solve because there are no numbers outside the absolute value. So let's give the two possibilities. When you give the two possibilities, one is going to be the same as in the question. So one is x plus half equals 1. Another one is going to be x plus half is going to be equal to negative 1. So x is going to be equal to 1 minus half. So 1 minus half, how much is 1 minus half? You have a whole of something and you remove half. So you'll be left with a half. Similarly here, it's going to be negative 1 minus half. So 1, negative 1 minus half. So both of them are negative, but the rule is if both are negative, you need to add the numbers. So 1 and half, how much is that going to give you? 1 plus half will give you a 1 and a half, but with the negative sign. It's easy, it takes a bit time and practice, that's all. Okay, now here, it is a very easy one. What number can be inside? One possibility is that it can be 1 over 5. Or another possibility is that it can be negative 1 over 5. It's as simple as that. Now, can we solve, do we have any number to get rid of before we find the absolute value? There are no numbers. So what are you going to do? You have to just give the two possibilities. So let's give the two possibilities. That's going to be 2x minus 4 equals 22, or 2x minus 4 equals negative 22. So solve how you would normally solve it. Keep 2x on this side, move the 4 to the other, so that will become 22 plus 4. 2x is going to be equal to 26. X is going to be equal to 26 divided by 2. X is equal to 13. The next one is going to be 2x equals negative 22 plus 4. So 22 negative 22 plus 4 will give you a positive 18. It's going to give you an 18. So x is going to be equal to 18 divided by 2. X is equal to 9. Here it should be a negative sign, negative sign, negative sign. So x can be 13 or x can be a negative 9. Let's try two more questions. So here we have 18 equals 3 multiplied by x minus 1. We have to remove this 3. That means first step is to remove the 3 by doing the inverse. So here it was multiplied, we are going to divide it. Let this stay inside. So 18 minus 3 is going to give you a 6 is equal to absolute value of x minus 1. So now let's give the two possibilities. So one possibility can be 6 equals x minus 1. The other one is minus 6 equals x minus 1. Just solve negative 6 plus 1 is going to be equal to x. It's a plus sign here. So this will give you negative 5 equals x. Here it's going to be negative 6. Okay, let me solve. This is going to be negative 6 plus 1. So let me change the other one here. This is going to be 6 equals x minus 1. So 6 plus 1 equals x. So this is going to be 7 equals x. So here I wrote the minus 1 first and here the positive 1 first. So it doesn't matter which order you write, but the answer can be one negative and a positive 1. So x can be negative 5 or x can be 7. Similarly here again we have to get rid of this number. So this is multiply again. So to remove that we have to do the inverse of that. So the inverse of multiply is divide. So we are dividing it with negative 2. Now you are dividing both negative numbers. So finally you will be left with a positive number. So what do you think is the answer which can be in place of x? X can be equal to 2. It can be a positive number or it can be a negative 2. So that if you want to practice, you can take some more questions and practice. Try to do this question and find the answer. Check by yourself the answer is correct or not. So in the next video, we will discuss how to look at some more different kinds of questions. Till then, keep practicing math.